Hey everyone, and welcome to this new video. Once again, we're gonna have a look at the current weekly challenge. Well, first of all, I think it's good to mention in this weekly challenge that it's once again about getting the 100% score and then talking about the way of positioning and why it's better than the one that was used before, rather than trying to get a new score. Because especially in this weekly challenge, due to the use of units that in theory have unlimited potential, namely Saria in this case, very high results can appear. For example, now Brenter's Brot is reigning with a score of 520, which means he did successfully skip the spending 420 gold. But this is not the focus of this video. I will talk about general unit positioning, and we take the weekly challenge as the platform for that. Alright, first of all, we want to make sure what is the wave, what are the sends, and what are our units to identify our strengths and weaknesses. First of all, it's wave 12, so there's nothing too special about it. It's not range, it's not flying, it's not uncommon amount of units, so we have 12 units. Pierce Swift, the send is going to be an ogre and 4 snails, which is not too large overall as well. What units do we have? We already can spot 2 damage dealers in, first of all, the Asaria and in the Doppelganger. While we do not really have a lot of tanks, we do have a Brent Boar, we do have 1 Graal, we have a Consort, which is, well, in the early game it's a damage dealer or off tank, later on it's just a little bit of meat shield, and we have some more buses. And then there's this MPS there where I'm actually not happy at all about. Because this MPS does not really fit into this role too much at the moment. And I think this is the unit you could skip the likeliest if you want to try and hit for new high score. Alright, first of all, since we already can see we do have this Asaria gameplay, we want to position the Asaria. Usually you want to position it quite high at the top, because it does have a large range and you want to be able to position units at the bottom as well. Second thing, we have a boar, and as you know, usually a boar wants a special building, right? You do want to place your boar on one side like this and then have another unit at the top, so it's gonna go the whole way straight to the other side and increase the splash damage by at the impact. But in this case, we have to see whether this AoE damage a boar can offer. Usually you want to have this with more boars, with red eyes, etc. If it's actually worth it in terms of giving away the split option with the Asaria, because Asaria does regenerate HP, and this way gives us more or less unlimited potential if we can make sure that she's always surviving and regenerating back some HP. Usually this is a hard question to answer in some cases, but I give you a little hint. In this case, you can just have a look. What is the value of the unit, or what is the value of this one option? What is the value of the other option? We have the Asaria with 500 something value, and we have the boar with 270. So we can already see that the Asaria is worth a lot more, at least from building cost. So we will try and focus to keep the split and make sure that the Asaria will use its spell in order to reach the value or even overreach the value. This is why we're going to have the boar on the other side in the split, in order to make sure that the Asaria will have some time where she can relax, regenerate back some HP she's going to take from the units immediately engaging on her. So we will have the boar here, we will have some buses here. What we want is, usually you want all your damage units on one side stacked, right? And this is exactly what we're going to do here as well. So we will have Doppelganger on the left side as well, same as the Asaria. But where do we want to place it? We will have a look. We see the range here. We want the Asaria to tank first. So we will place and position the Doppelganger at the edge or a little bit behind the edge, which is what we're gonna do, right? We will place it half a square behind the edge here in order to let the Asaria tank and not the Doppelganger. Well, I think I already said it. You do not really need this MPS in this setup, because it's not really gonna buff a lot of units, right? It's gonna buff the Doppelganger. the 250 gold you did spend into upgrading the MPS would have been a better investment into either or with selling some of the buses or a King Claw with the same. So I'm really no big fan of it. We're just going to place the Graal to the side, because it doesn't matter whether the tanks or the majority of tanks is going to be left or right, not like with Trinity Archers. And then the last thing we have to consider is how is our split going to work out, right? You can see it here, since in this case we know there's no crucial big tanks coming, the split is not mattering as much with the Assyria. With a melee unit, 2 squares of space, right? You would have half a square down for a normal split, and then you would have 2 of space, and there is your first unit. Should be enough on wave 12 to let the Assyria tank quite a bit, but not too much. If we had a ranged unit, you should put it either on half a square down or even same height, upper height, in order to pull tanks to the other side. So we have 3 buses left. We're just gonna, I don't know, place them here maybe. And then we can already run our build. And now let's see what's gonna happen. So we do have around a 50-50. This boar might sometimes path over there, might sometimes not. It's not really 100% consistent. It depends a little bit on the height you do choose to place the Assyria. And we can see around 1/3, 40% were able to attack the priestess right away. She lost some HP, is able to regenerate it, and the tankiness of the boar and the Graal are gonna make sure that she survives. I think you were able to spot out another reason why the MPS is not really a good unit in this case, and this is its range. But the range is different to the range we do have on the Assyria. So if we click here, we can see the range is 400, and on the Assyria we have a range of 600, which is going to cause one problem if we place the Assyria next to the MPS. If we would do that now, either here or here, because, well, obviously we want the Assyria to tank theory, and start the wave, we will see that the wave's going to get pulled as before, but the MPS is now going to full tank, and the usage of the healing is totally irrelevant, because the Assyria is gonna be out of range for the main wave. This is due to the range difference of 200 the MPS has compared to the Assyria, and this is why I am such a big fan of not placing them together in this case, in order to achieve better results in overall positioning theory. One last thing I want to mention, I think overall we understood the concept, right? Once again, DPS on one side, we want to make use of the abilities of the unit as good as we can, right? So we want to have the board charge a little bit, but we do not want to miss on the healing on the Assyria. And this is exactly the last one I wanted to talk about. I think in the original one, the boar was here and there was upper units there. I do not like this approach, and this is likely as well why our player here had a lower score than 100, is because he was trying to get the most potential out of the red eyes rather than making use of the Assyria, and this way it just didn't help him out in order to hold the wave, because he just has lost a lot of potential value in healing ability. That's the same, for example, in other units where you sometimes do not want to lose out. For example, Phoenix, you want to make sure you use the mana shield rather than having some full tanks for it. You want to have it hit by a few units in order to gain more attack damage. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this 3rd episode of the Weekly Challenge Positioning Guide. See you next time. Have a good one. Bye bye.